Okay, sweetheart, now what would you do if someone sewed us together skin to skin, front to front, and you had to spend every waking moment with me?
I'd kill you and drag your body around with me.
All right, never mind. This didn't go like I planned. What is up, Netflix fans? Welcome back to my channel. Today's film, Two or Dos. It dropped on Netflix, and we're going to talk about it. By the way, my wife and I, we are in New York, so that's why the background's really ugly, but I said, you know what, I have to bring you guys as many reviews as I can. But I said, you know what, there's a new movie on Netflix, I have to cover it, and oh boy, am I gonna cover it. Let's talk about it. Two people, a man and a woman, wake up naked and with their abdomens attached to each other. So the movie starts with our two characters kind of waking up already in this situation, unconscious, and they realize where they are, but they don't know who they are attached to. And I'm not talking mentally or spiritually. They are physically attached to the other person. So we're essentially stuck, there's a pun, with David and Sarah as they try to figure out how did we get here. So there is your mystery that you're going to be along for the ride with. But also, who is behind this madness? Why did they choose us, essentially? And, you know, there are things that continue to come up through conversation, and that's all we get for most of the film, because that's really all they can do. They can't escape. There's no way out. It takes them a bit to figure out something as simple as using the bathroom, and even though that's uncomfortable, and there are a lot of elements of this movie that are uncomfortable, but I believe that's what it's built and bred to do and make the audience feel. There are interesting elements about that, right? Trying to maneuver around this, trying to learn how to do something as simple as move together, but then the conversations start, and they're trying to get to the bottom of this. Okay, who do we know? Where do we live? How did we get here, like I said, in the first place? But not only is this happening, this attachment, if you will. Lights are going out. There are phone calls, noises outside of the room. So someone is clearly at fault. And the mystery of it all is figuring out who and why. All right, that sounds pretty interesting. It sounds more interesting than it actually is, because I believe the big flaw with this film is the lack of investment in characters and really the story as a whole. Some of this could be due to the awkward dialogue, and I'm not even talking about awkward, okay, they're attached to each other, no way to escape this, some moments there. No, the conversations that they have and the way that lines come across as less serious and devastating. Some good emotion there, right? But more so, a bit over the top. Some things that have me kind of chuckling more so than actually feeling the emotion that they're going for. But the biggest flaw with this film is the fact that it moves so quick. And I said this earlier, lack of investment. You really don't care about these characters for the most part because there is no depth to them. All we get is the here and now, and sometimes that works, but it all comes down to how these two characters are portrayed to us. Is there enough? And I look at another Netflix film, Gerald's Game, right? Very simplistic premise for most of the film. Is basically her by herself on her bed. She's trying to figure her way out, and obviously it's very different than being sewed up to somebody, but it was interesting, and it was full of terror and horror, but this film, you're going to make the Human Centipede comparison, different body parts, all right? But you could also compare it to something like Saw with the body horror, and when they're trying to, when they first realize they're attached, they're trying to pull themselves away from each other. Those moments where the stitches start to come apart, I'm saying, all right, that's what this movie needed to be. But instead of that, it's an hour, it's not a very long film, it's a little over an hour of just constant, awkward dialogue. Not situationally, conversation-wise, is awkward, and you don't care. And yes, the film is uncomfortable. It's built to make you feel that way, but you have to give a crap about the characters. And even though the performances themselves were fine, I just wasn't intrigued. The only thing that kept me going, other than the very subtle body horror, was, okay, who's actually behind it? And how do you get out? But even then, we got our answers, and I'm like, okay, right? It was unpredictable, but that doesn't necessarily make it satisfying. I just found this film to be completely mishandled, sloppy, and this movie is built to be a short film. Or it's built to, build these characters up a lot more and make it a limited series. What they gave us was this awkward in-between where it never really does what it's trying to do, but there wasn't really much there to start. a lot of it comes down to the fact that it's bred for shock factor. That's what the film is going for. Oh my God, they're stuck together, they're attached. Well, how are they going to get out of this? 1 hour later, oh, they're out of it. Cool. Before I give you guys my score, I want to know, did you get more out of this than I did, or was it just too uncomfortable for you? A little over an hour, so hey, if you want to watch it, go right ahead. It's on Netflix. I am still not quite sure why this film exists other than the immediate shock factor and occasional body horror. Even then, can't compensate for its story. If you guys like this video, be sure to drop your thumbs up. I'm going at 28% with my score, and even at a very short runtime, I didn't really get anything out of what was happening, even though, again, the premise, hey, all right, let's see where we go. Okay, here, well, let me know what you thought down below. Have you ever been stuck to someone and couldn't escape? All right, see you soon.